Okay, I think we are live. I see the little red button. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a special night. We're here on Tuesday night, a little different than usual, but so happy to be back with all of you again. It's been a few weeks, and I know that you've been waiting patiently for this episode that I apologize. We needed to reschedule from last week to this week. And we also lost Dr. Neil Shaw in the interim while we were waiting to do this. So he obviously, unfortunately, will not be with us tonight. But I do have a special guest. So in one moment, I'm just going to let everybody start jumping into the stream. And I see all of you wonderful people starting to come in. Let's give it a moment for everybody to get their announcement and see you all. Here you go. Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome. Welcome to My Baby Experts. I am Sherry Creso, and for those of you who don't know me, we always have a lot of new people joining us. I am a certified nurse midwife and an international board certified lactation consultant, and I'm the host of the show. And I've been doing this for almost 10 years already, unbelievably, here on the internet. And spending all these weeks with all of you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. The dads are here too. And I know we have new people. So if you are new, as always, I want to hear from you. Go ahead and tell us I'm new so we can properly welcome you, as always, into our family here and to our community. Hi, yes, ladies. Hi, yes. Okay. So I want to just, first of all, this is episode 136. So I want to hear a 136, hashtag 136 in the chat room. Yay, 136 episodes. I can't even believe it. 136. We've had some amazing topics throughout the years on pretty much everything having to do mama, dad, parenting, anything you can think of. And tonight's topic is just kind of encompasses all of that and talks about the status of our maternity care here in the United States, and a march that that is going to take place next month. It is next month, right? Yeah, it's April. Next month, starting on May 6th. It's called the March for Moms, and it's the second year that they're going to be doing this. And it's an amazing event and initiative. And I'm so happy to welcome my special guest, Ginger Breedlove, here to the show. Ginger is the immediate past president of the American College of Nurse Midwives. She's also the founder and principal consultant for Grow Midwives. She is a researcher, she's an activist, she's a mom, she's a grandmother, and she's also the founder of and the president of March for Moms. So Ginger, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, Sherry. It's just so fantastic to be able to visit with you and share with your listeners what we're all about.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, they're all jumping in here, and these are all my favorite people, just that we get to spend this time together, and I'm happy that they're here to talk about this important issue and help to raise awareness for the whole initiative for March for Moms, which we're going to get into in much detail. I also want to thank, before we get started, I just want to thank my amazing partner, Earth Mama Organics. As I was telling you before, we've been working together for over 10 years. They are one of my favorite companies, not just because they make the most amazing products, completely certified organic products for moms, babies. I mean, I trust no one else to put anything on baby skin and on mom's skin other than Earth Mom Organics. Everybody knows that, and I actually use it myself as moisturizer on my face, the only thing I'll use. But they make all kinds of amazing, great products, and that's going to be our prize tonight too. So one of you guys in the chat will win a wonderful care package from Earth Mama Organics. All you have to do is love this post, share it with all your friends, and this one's really important to share. And comment here and tell me what you love about Earth Mama throughout the stream tonight, and we'll pick a winner. All right, so let's get started because there's so much to discuss, and it's such an important topic. Should we? At first, I'd like to just ask you if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started to take this on and do what you're doing now.
Sure, Sherry. I finished nursing school in the mid 70s, sort of when the movement of childbirth education was really in full steam, and immediately went on to a labor and delivery floor as a registered nurse, and have done nothing but maternity care for almost 40 years. So my context of my career path has only been focused on moms and babies and women's health care. And so through my career, I have started a couple of midwifery practices. I started the University of Kansas Midwife Education Program, which is a graduate educational track, as you know. Have taught in academia for about 17 years, and then led the American College of Nurse Midwives. And at that point, I really saw the national scene with different players in the sandbox, is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I noticed in being very closely aligned with the American College of OBGYNs, with the March of Dimes, with the Association of Obstetric Nurses, is that we all had strong initiatives, and we were all working very hard on trying to make maternity care better. And sort of a magical moment happened, and I'll shorten the story here, but I want you to know how Dr. Neil Shaw became involved. In my last term as president, I was outgoing in New Mexico in May of 2016. And we invite to the presidential suite the ACOG leadership that comes to our meeting, and Dr. Neil Shaw had been invited by me as our keynote speaker for that annual meeting. He's a young obstetrician. He didn't know any of the ACOG leadership, and they didn't really know who Dr. Shaw was either. Just really coming into passing his boards as a certified, fellow of ACOG. So he came to a very private dinner with the executive board of ACNM and 3 presidents of ACOG and this young obstetrician. And Dr. John Jennings, who I attribute really my inspiration to, is about 10 years older than me, and I was at his convocation when he was inducted as the ACOG president. And I will never forget him saying, for his family to stand up with his 3 daughters and all of his grandchildren, which were all little girls, worried about who's going to take care of the future moms and women in our country.
Yes.
And what Dr. Jennings wanted to do was get 1 million moms on the mall. And it didn't fly. The ACOG presidents get 1 year to do something, and his idea didn't take on. Fast forward to 2016, Dr. Jennings is sitting right beside Neil Shaw and I, and having some wine and talking, and here comes Dr. Jennings again going, what we really need, and this is what's so important for your listeners, Sherry, we need the moms, the families, the grandparents to understand the crisis we're in. I really wish we could have gotten 1 million moms on the mall. And Dr. Shaw, who I will now call Neil, looks at us, half our age, and says, well, why not? And we're all just sort of sitting there, and everybody leaves. Conversation ended. I went to a conference about 4 months later, giving a speech for an organization, and happened to hear a lobbyist speaking at a different session. And I came home so angry because for 4 decades, I've heard the same audience conversation over and over and over and over. And I was just like, this is crazy. I'm going to have a grandchild, and nothing has changed. So I asked my husband if he thought I was stupid if I tried to activate some of my key contacts around the country. I called Neil, I called John Jennings, and when they both said, we'll absolutely help you, that really was the beginning of the March for Moms. And so it came from, I guess a coincidence of people full of passion who met at the right time.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that is how it happens. And as you were talking, I was thinking, I was at the conference in New Mexico, and I had
oh my gosh.
And I had been, the last time I had been there was in midwifery school back in 1996, and it was the first time I had been at the conference. So as you were speaking, I was thinking, wow, that came full circle tonight.
There you go.
You're talking about how this all happened at that conference, and I was there too. So not doing what you guys were doing, but definitely feeling the energy and happy to be a part
Yeah.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think it's amazing. Let's talk, why don't we play a video so that
Okay.
everybody can sort of see what the March for Moms is about. And then we also do have a video from Dr. Neal that we can also play in a little while. So just
Right.
hold on one second. I'm going to start the video for us. Yeah.
It's an exciting time because for the first time, we have brought together diverse stakeholders to some degree, people who have often found themselves challenged by another belief set to highlight the devastating consequences going on in our country.
When U.S. politicians on national television use the high cesarean section rate as an example of how well our healthcare system is functioning, it's wrong. And many experts will tell you that it is contributing to not only the rising maternal mortality rate in our country, but also the extreme cost of providing maternity care.
When the answer to which industrialized country loses the most moms in maternity care is the United States, there's a problem. As a doula, I had the opportunity to see some incredible, empowering, beautiful births. But unfortunately, there was a lot more of the opposite of that.
So in the Deep South, in my state, there are infant mortality rates that are triple what the United States rate is. So children, their ability to live to see their first birthday is dependent on their zip code and the color of their skin. And that is so shameful.
15 to 20% of women in our country experience depression in pregnancy or postpartum, and we simply don't help women. It's just one issue within all of maternity care that we need to do better at, that we simply have failed at.
I looked at decades and decades of research, and there still wasn't really a clear answer. And I knew at that moment that whatever way that I could, I would want to find a way to link my midwifery into making a change with these health disparities. Especially as a woman of color, I'm on the front lines and I see every day the struggles in our healthcare system, especially with reproductive health, maternal health, and it's very painful.
You feel like you're gonna just fall apart, but I did have confidence in my baby, and I was a first-time mom, but I knew, my body done everything correctly.
Right now in the United States, 1 in every 3 moms gets major surgery to have their baby. That's twice as many C-sections as are medically necessary. And in spite of that, we have one of the highest maternal death and injury rates in childbirth in the entire developed world. If that wasn't bad enough, we also have some of the worst parental leave policies in the entire developed world. So Luke and I think that the United States of America can do a lot better than that. And that's why we're going to be on the Jefferson Memorial on Mother's Day. We'll see you there.
So this opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., and to be able to advocate on issues that will improve the care of moms and babies in our country.
The reality is that we all have to show up. Let's bring our kids, let's have a picnic, let's celebrate mothers, honor mothers, and help mothers.
Okay, I think we're back here. Such a beautiful video and really just speaks to the heart of the whole issue here. And I think that sometimes it's a topic that's hard for moms to talk about, for people to hear. Let me just say this right off the bat. This conversation is not to scare anybody. This conversation is to hopefully bring about change for all the moms who don't have a voice, who, are not feeling empowered. This is a way to empower you and to know that you can make a difference for yourself and for our entire society, which is the whole point of this. So I'm speaking for you here, Ginger, but I want to say that to the moms who are watching, because I know it can be a difficult topic to listen to sometimes, but we need to address some of these difficult topics, just like other things that we bring awareness to, in our country. Talk a little bit about what the issues are. Let's discuss a little, like, what are some of the issues? They mentioned some in the video about perinatal depression, maternal mortality rates. What do you think is the main thing that you're addressing here, or is it all combination?
Well, we tackled 7 issues our first year, and we learned very quickly that was an overload in all the kinds of messaging we were trying to do. So this year we have narrowed down our advocacy platform to 3 primary issues. And the first one is probably the most frightening, but happens less frequently than perinatal depression, and that's maternal mortality. The rate of moms dying in our country is the highest of any high-income country in the world. Part of it is our data is not collected accurately. Some states don't require hospitals to report. And without data, we can't determine what are those variables that influence issues that can be changed, especially if we know that 60% of maternal deaths are preventable. Whether that's helping moms that might be at risk for preeclampsia or responding appropriately for someone that hemorrhages, having the data will help hospitals, will also help families. So that legislation in particular is encouraging every state to have a maternal mortality review committee. So that's an advocacy issue on the platform that you can find on our website. The second is to heighten the awareness of perinatal mental health in our country. And that is the most diagnosed medical condition during pregnancy as well as after. Yet we have very little required screening or assessment, let alone resources, tools, and providers who are ready to help moms, whether they're breastfeeding or wherever they are in their pregnancy and parenting. And the third issue, which is really a wraparound, is helping families with support post-birth. So paid family leave in particular influences a mom's ability and longevity of breastfeeding, her ability to cope and feel comfortable as a new mom, leaving your baby with a 6 weeks old with perhaps a stranger.
Yeah.
We're, again, the only country in the nation, there are actually 2 others that do not have mandatory paid family leave. So those are the 3 big topics we'll be pushing this year.
Yeah. And all the, topics that we discuss frequently is perinatal depression, and family leave. It's something that does come up often. And, so many of the moms are struggling with it, and they kind of, I think, go hand in hand. One leads to the other.
Yeah.
When you're, like you said, when you're leaving your
newborn, you don't have the support.
You don't have the support. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think it's so
You
important.
don't even have time to settle in as a new mom or a new family and really understand the cues of your baby before you're asked to be separated from them, for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It's totally crazy. It's totally crazy. I think that, let's see here. Do we want to show the video of, can you tell us a little bit about Charles Johnson? As we were discussing this, I just wanted to, bring up his story, and we do have a video to show. And can you tell us a little bit about him?
This will be the hardest video to watch tonight, Sherry. Charles Johnson came to us through my meeting him at the CDC Public Health Grand Rounds on maternal mortality last fall. Charles's wife, Kira, was a very amazing woman, spoke 5 languages, ran her own international business. You'll hear more about her from Charles. Her story is more popular in the media because Charles' mother is Judge Hatchett, a very famous TV reality judge in LA. They've been on the Dr. Oz show twice since Vera died. And their mission is to help bring awareness to the fact that some maternal mortality scenarios are preventable. She actually died while she was still in the hospital after a routine repeat cesarean section from a postpartum hemorrhage.
Yeah. It's like I said, like we were saying, it's hard to watch, but it's important for us to see and to hear his story and to keep her in our mind as we're talking about this topic. That this is why we're fighting for this. This is why we're going forward. This is why we're trying to bring about change, and this is why we need everybody's support to make this happen. It's not going to be one voice. It's not going to be just Ginger or just me talking about it here or Neil, or it's going to be all of us together demanding change. And I think it's important to confront and see it so that you can know what you're fighting for. Hold on one second. I'm going to bring this up here. It's a short video, but I really think it's powerful and important.
Hi, my name is Charles Johnson. I want to talk to you about the March for Moms, Sunday, May 6th, and why it's so extremely important. For those of you all who are familiar with my story, and some of you who may not be, I was fortunate enough to meet a woman that absolutely changed my life. My wife, Kira Dixon Johnson, was the most amazing person I'd ever met. I'm talking about a woman that was a pilot, a skydiver, raced cars, ran marathons, and sadly, Kira and I were expecting our second son, Langston, in April of 2016. We went into Cedars-Sinai Hospital for what was supposed to be a routine scheduled C-section. Shortly after Langston's delivery, there were some very obvious signs that Kira was in distress and that she was bleeding internally. Even though she was showing signs, the staff and the medical professionals at Cedars-Sinai Hospital allowed Kira's condition to deteriorate for more than 10 hours as myself and my family begged for them to take action until it was finally too late. Kira passed away early the morning of April 13th. And while I know that there's absolutely nothing that I can do to bring my wife back, I owe it to my wife, I owe it to my sons, and I owe it to women around this country to make sure that I take a stand, and I fight to make sure that tragedies like this never happen again. My wife deserved better, my sons deserve better, and women all over this country deserve better. And that's why I am calling on all of you, all of our friends, all of our allies in this important fight for women's health, for the rights and the health and safety of mothers and babies, to join us Sunday, May 6th in Washington, D.C. as we send a loud, definitive message that change needs to happen in this country. It is absolutely ridiculous that in the richest nation in the world that we have the highest maternal mortality rate. It's ridiculous. But the good news is that change is coming, and together we're going to make a difference. I look forward to seeing all of you in Washington, D.C. on May 6th for the March for Moms. Thank you very much.
Very powerful, and very sad. I'm sitting here in tears watching and thinking about the tragedy in his family and his wife, and that this didn't have to happen. Like you said, 60% are preventable.
Right.
And I think that's important for everyone to hear and to, if you are expecting and you're watching this tonight and you're thinking, oh my God, is this just frightening? It's important to know that this is going on and that there are still things you can do to make sure that you are empowering yourself and that you are getting proper care. So often I see women, and as a midwife, I saw this for years and years in my own practice of women, putting up with things in the hospital while I would be there with my patients and seeing, women accepting things that they shouldn't be accepting. And I think it's so important that when you're pregnant is the time to advocate for yourself and to make sure that you are searching out for the the best provider, that you are having those conversations, that you are doing your research. And unfortunately, we need to do that. It should be that no matter what hospital you walk into in this country, and no matter which doctor you got, it would be okay. But unfortunately, it's not the case. And I heard Neil discuss this recently when I heard him speak live about your biggest risk, I believe he said, for whether you would have a C-section on is which hospital you deliver in.
That's right. You can go to Consumer Reports or to Leapfrog. Both of those will report the cesarean section rates of hospitals. Not all hospitals participate in either of those, but for those who do, you can definitely start that process of learning. Yeah. I think the other thing I would say, Sherry, and you've mentioned this, but it doesn't come from us spontaneously. If you feel something's wrong in any health situation, keep asking questions. Stay engaged in the conversation. Ask for another person to explain it to you or to assess you. Yes. If you have the hair on the back of your neck going up, it's there for a reason. And just as you said, we shouldn't have to do that. And I don't think we should necessarily blame a system or a provider or a nurse. They are overworked. They're exhausted. They're taking care of far too many people than they should or want to be taken care of. Yeah. And sometimes shortcuts are taken because of time.
Yeah.
And our situation is the most important situation.
Yeah.
So I would really encourage your viewers to learn the art of just not being defensive, but being persistent.
Yep. And if there's anything that I've been speaking about and talking about and preaching to them for many, many years, is to speak up for themselves, to realize that it's their life, it's their child's life, they have a right to demand and ask for whatever they want. Too many times moms are quiet, feel like they're saying too much, or they're questioning their doctor. You're supposed to do that.
Well, one great analogy is if you go in and you're going to buy a car and you want to know all these things about the car, then why shouldn't you have that kind of conversation when you're receiving care?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're not comfortable during pregnancy and those conversations are not going well, my motto was, as long as the baby is not out, it's not too late to transfer to someone you feel better with. Those are the calls I used to get at 38 weeks. Is it too late? I'd say, is your baby out? No.
Yeah.
Then it's not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late. But the main point here is just make sure that you are following your own gut and you're listening to yourself, and that you've got other people around you to be with you that you trust and can advocate for you as well. That's really important. So just, Ginger, what is the goal here? We were talking about awareness, and what are some of the goals that you want to see happen from the March for Moms? And then also we're declaring, right, National Maternal Health Awareness Week for the first time.
We are starting Sunday, May 6th, leading up to Mother's Day. So I'll give you a little more of the blueprint of how March for Moms is growing. Again, Neil Shaw was aware of how the opioid epidemic movement was created by a grassroots group called the Fed Up Rally. So we contacted the Fed Up Rally team and asked them, what did you do? It took them about 4 to 5 years to go from no one knew there was an opioid problem to now it is the absolute every other commercial we see on television, and millions of dollars going out to address the high rate of people dying from opioid overdose. And so they started on the mall with less than 1,000 people their first year in the Sylvan Theater. They grew over 4 to 5 years, and we are literally replicating that playbook.
That's great.
So we brought in every professional society that touches women in pregnancy and birth. We haven't brought in the pediatric side yet, but that's our goal for next year.
Yeah.
In addition, we have business sponsors. We have like-minded mission-focused groups, the March of Dimes, the Accreta Foundation, the Preeclampsia Foundation, all of these other entities all working, again, in silos about issues, but had never come together as a collective.
Yeah.
So our ability to bring now 40 organizations together, all advocating for these three issues, is just unbelievable. In 2 years, year and a half. It's unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable. And I mean, I don't think I was even aware that there wasn't already, or that I don't think I was aware of just how bad the problem was and how bad it's been getting. It's progressively worse.
Oh.
It's been
remember, I've been doing this 40 years, and until the fetal monitor came down the hall in 1978, we were using a fetoscope on our head to listen to heart tones with a mom in labor. We had our hand on her belly. We didn't have a machine doing that. We were at her bedside. And when the fetal monitor came down the hall in 78 and the epidural was added to the fetal monitor in the 80s, women then became resigned to bed. And it's the last 20 years when we've seen this heightened increase in maternal mortality.
Incredible. Yeah, because I don't think that I was aware. And this is something we talked about, is that it's not just that moms and women are not aware, but it's professionals are not aware of this increasingly critical issue that's happening.
So that's one arm of it. The other I want to give equal import to is finally being named by professional organizations, honestly, Sherry, in the last year. And that is institutional racism and health inequities, and how women of color, particularly Black women, are disproportionately impacted by death, maternal death, as well as death of their babies. And there's a lot of research to suggest that the unbelievable racial stress and tension in the last 20 years that continues to elevate just by the murders that are happening, every week that we see on television, that there's a genetic there's a possibility of a genetic predisposition for women to have more preeclampsia, more diabetes, higher risk for stroke, because of the chronic stress that they're under.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter what the socioeconomic situation is. Certainly poverty plays into this, so zip code does make a difference, but it's still wrong, and it still needs to be addressed, and we need to change that.
And it has you thinking that maybe this is why the issue is not being addressed, and that right there is wrong all around.
There you go.
And you did talk about the there are also lack of health care in different areas, rural moms. I know this is not one of the main initiatives right now, but it is a problem for so many women who can't access good health care.
We actually are wrapping that into part of our work. If there were a fourth bill, we were highlighting Maternal Care Provider Shortage Act. It passed in the House. I actually was honored to testify in the House for this bill, and it passed. It's now in the Senate, to designate shortage areas, whether they're in the urban core or in rural America, so that obstetricians and midwives can be placed there to provide needed services and be refunded for their education. So we're working on that bill as well.
Wow. You guys are just amazing in the work that you're doing. I'm so happy to be able to be a small part of, just to support. And I was wondering if anybody's watching this, whether it's right now or the replays, and they want to get involved in the march, but can't make it, well, hopefully they can come to Washington, D.C. I'll be there with you too. So hopefully you'll all come out to Washington and be on the mall with us on May 6th. But if they can't, there's going to be sister rallies around the country, right?
Right. Let me just say a few words about D.C. It's a very exciting what is building. So if any of you have been on the mall, it's between 7th and 9th, the prime location. The carousel for your children is right there. Inova Fairfax Heroes for Moms will have a blood drive focusing on postpartum hemorrhage. The breastfeeding van is coming from California all the way to DC. It's a 40-foot RV to breastfeed your baby. There'll be bubble blowing and kite flying in the midst of a $40,000 professional stage with the most amazing presentations and music. Some high-profile people we can't release quite yet, but very, very exciting. And we hope to grow from 1,000 at the Jefferson Memorial, a bit off the public causeway. We really hope for 5,000 to 10,000 people in DC.
Yeah.
We're now at over 50 sister rallies across the country. It's almost in every state, not quite. You can go on the website and find out where those sister rallies are, as well as if you can't go to a rally, there is something you can do. You can look on the legislative tab on the website. You'll see the federal advocacy bills, and you'll see state advocacy bills. We've worked very closely with some national organizations and the CDC to link for anyone who goes there. If you're in New Jersey, where Sherry is, you can tap on the New Jersey map and see what the bills are about maternal mortality, perinatal mental health, and paid family leave.
Yeah.
Very specific to your state.
Yeah. Fantastic. Joe's posting the link for March for Moms into the chat right now. You guys know you'll have to go after the stream, and it'll also be in the post itself. So don't worry, we'll give you the link over to there, and then you could just kind of go through the site and find everything Ginger's talking about, and also if there'll be an area near you to come out to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you guys, well, maybe we'll do we'll have everybody post pictures of themselves all around the country, right?
Awesome. Right.
So we can all be together in spirit, for sure, for sure. How about we how about we play Neil's video as well, just to bring Neil into the show.
Absolutely.
Neil was supposed to be my original guest. I had met Neil back in the fall, and we were going to do the show, and then as it came time for the march, and he started to tell me about it, I said, we need to do the march. We need to talk about the march. We'll talk about everything else later, but let's do the march. And then when I spoke to him, I said, Ginger needs to be on this call. So trying to coordinate all of our schedules, and then Neil's OBGYN schedule was a little bit complicated, but it's okay. We have a video so we can all introduce you to Dr. Neil Shah, who's amazing. Hold on one second here. Here we go.
So my name's Neil Shah. I'm an obstetrician from Boston. I am a relatively new dad, and I am the vice president of March for Moms. And so in that capacity, actually Luca and I are both the vice president for March for Moms. That's actually where I wanted to start here. So as a doctor, I watched the opioid epidemic get worse and worse year after year. And then we hit a tipping point. We hit a point where middle-aged white men were dying more and more. The mortality rate for middle-aged white men went up, and that was a tipping point. That led to something called the Fed Up Rally, which happened right here on the National Mall 2 years ago. And that's what launched a productive national conversation about what we should be doing for the opioid epidemic, and got an issue that was largely invisible to policymakers on their radar. We thought, if it doesn't seem like the world needs another march, right? But we thought if, science on Earth Day is okay and taxes on tax day are okay, why not Moms on Mother's Day? The maternal health crisis that we're seeing are things that you've heard about all across the afternoon so far. So, there are more moms dying in childbirth than ever before. It's not a new thing. It's been going up for 20 years. We have the highest prematurity rates in the entire developed world. We have the worst access, the widest disparities, the worst family leave policies in the entire developed world. Honestly, just putting those issues on the radar of policymakers was the objective of this. Until last week. Last week we decided to up the ante, and here's why. I'm normally a pretty happy person, and it's because in addition to being Luca's dad, I've got the greatest job in the world as an obstetrician. I get to introduce moms to their new babies for a living, right? I love moms, who doesn't? So imagine how angry I was last week when I learned that just 10 days before Mother's Day, the United States House of Representatives decided to slap American mothers across the face. they unapologetically passed a bill that strips nearly $880 billion from Medicaid, the primary funding source for our moms and our babies. Then they dumped salt in the wound by making it possible for pregnancy to be a pre-existing condition. So guys, just 10 days before Mother's Day, they made motherhood a pre-existing condition. Are you upset yet? Well, it gets worse. So just a couple days later, Mitch McConnell put together the Senate committee that's going to be drafting their version of the bill. And there are no women on that committee. There are no moderates. So there's no way we're going to let them get away with that, right? Because you don't mess with American moms and get away with it, right? So we're bringing together all of you, including hundreds to thousands of people that are watching right now on Facebook Live, to make sure that our policymakers know that American families are paying attention and they're not going to get away with us. We're here on the Jefferson Memorial right now, and in addition to being one of the most beautiful monuments in Washington, it's about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. It's about justice. And ultimately, that's what this is about. Martin Luther King, and then Barack Obama after him, was fond of talking about the moral arc of the universe and how it's up to us as citizens to bend it. Okay? There are a lot of very reasonable senators that are going to be considering this bill this coming week. A lot of them are Republicans that are reasonable, and a lot of them are moms. Two of them specifically are reasonable Republicans who are also moms. Okay? And this event is exactly what they need to point to and get us out of this bind. Okay? So all of you being here right now is making a tremendous difference. Thank you so much.
It's so great to see him, Sherry. I describe him as my fifth son. He's about the age of my oldest son, and we're quite a pair.
Yeah, he's wonderful and amazing, and you're lucky to be able to work together, both for him and for you, and for all of us, that you're leading this together for all women. Before the video, you had said something about that it's incredible that you can't, it's incredible that things are happening, that this is all happening. And I was thinking, this is how things happen. And I think with every initiative, with everything that we want to see change come about, it starts with one person's thought, and then two people come together, and then 5 people come together, and then 10,000 come together, and then things actually start to shift. And I can't think of something more important than this topic for our country. I just really can't. It's yes, there are other important topics, but this just really hits at the heart of all of us. We all know we're either a mom ourselves, or we have a daughter, or we have a sister, or we have a wife. We're all impacted by this. And I think back to a show we did, almost a year ago on perinatal depression, and just how many tuned in to watch and had shared their stories and were just telling us in the chat that they're suffering from it, and and how much it helped to just hear about it and to know that they're not alone and to put a voice to it. So I really honor you for what you're doing.
Oh, well, I think we all have our own personal tipping point at different times in our life. I think hearing something resonate in my head, that it only takes one person to start. Just like you said, if you can find like-minded people. Yes. What's been amazing is some of these organizations have not been in the same sandbox very easily in the past. And to not be in the sandbox now looks like you don't care. So it's been a very helpful opportunity to bring people together to just start working together.
Right. And what kind of legislation are you looking to really start pushing right now?
Well, we clearly want to finish up the Maternal Mortality Review Committee requirements for every state. Mm-hmm. And as you may or may not be able to imagine, the Southern Poverty Block, from Texas over to the East Coast, are the states with the highest poverty and the highest maternal mortality and the highest infant mortality. And those states have very poor Medicaid services. They don't extend Medicaid into family planning. The hospitals do not report maternal and fetal death. They're sort of renegades of not being held accountable for outcomes. And so we're targeting them in particular to get on the boat here. So I testified in the Kansas Senate on public health just about 4 weeks ago because Kansas has a bill to start a maternal mortality review committee. I would really encourage your listeners to find out on our website if their state has one or not. The other exciting piece of this, Sherry, is these committees are required to be diverse. It's not just a bunch of doctors looking at charts. Consumers can be appointed to these committees. So anyone in your audience that really would feel propelled. Texas, their decision isn't until I think sometime in April for their consumer representatives.
Oh, wow.
So when these committees become open, we need to get active, engaged moms and dads on these committees.
Yeah. And with the use of social media now, more moms are aware, more moms can be connected to the issues, and they can get involved.
Yeah.
And that's what I love so much about no matter where you are, no matter where you live, you can have access to this information and get yourself involved in any way that you can. I think that's wonderful that they allow it open to, to be represented by more than just one type of professional, either a doctor or whatever. I think it's so important to get that diverse opinion. And
the other thing I would say is for your listeners to start talking about these stories, that what is going on, share the media, because the more we normalize the conversation, the more likely we are to have action happen sooner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that was a big thing especially with perinatal depression. We've talked about it so much this year and really trying to work on the stigma around it. Yeah. There's so much stigma. And so, and I've just seen more and more moms openly sharing, which I love. I don't love the fact that they're suffering. I love the fact that they're not suffering in silence and that they are reaching out.
I hate to say this, but it all wraps in together. And you mentioned this before, Sherry. If we take the Netherlands or some of the European Union countries and look at paid family leave and the rate of just postpartum depression, right? We're at like 16%, give or take. They're sitting at 3 to 4.
Unbelievable.
Typically happening to women who have more of a history of chronic anxiety, depression, stress.
Right.
What I think we're seeing in our country is the conditions of being overwhelmed with becoming a mom in such a short period of time. You don't know how to keep your house clean, take a shower, get ready for work, get your kid to the daycare. Are they eating, properly? Are you pumping enough? That it's just a high contributor. So if we could get mandatory paid family leave, I'm confident we would see a reduction in that rate.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, like you said, there's always going to be the hormonal factor in it. The hormonal factor, the history. But I think I agree with you 100% that, we could really see that big reduction just in changing that pressure that moms feel in having to leave.
They're not ready. I mean, you're not ready for 3-4 months.
No, absolutely not. You're not ready. You're never ready, but it definitely not ready in 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Definitely not ready in 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, 1 in 4 women are back to work in 10 days.
Oh my gosh.
1 in 4.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
No, I can't even imagine. Oh, and Conchita's saying it's overwhelming. Yeah, it is so overwhelming. And it's one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing too. And for some of you guys, and I know a bunch of them here in my group right now, but we decided to open up the entire membership site with all the classes and the full video library with 700 videos in our Facebook group, all for free. with the support of our partners, our amazing brand partners who have always been so supportive of sponsoring all these free shows, and everything I've done all these 10 years has always been free to moms. And I thought, so do the classes need to be as well. And especially, you know, the breastfeeding classes, so moms can really learn. And so if any of you guys are watching right now, I know a bunch of you are already in there, but if you're not, I want to make sure that I give you a personal invitation to come join us and join the membership. It's completely free. You can be with us and you can learn. And I think having that support, no matter where you are, no matter whether you can afford it or not, no matter whether, you know, you can leave your house or if you're working, everybody pretty much has access now to a cell phone, and that's really all you need to get that good information. And we can support you too, because I think feeling alone and isolated is a big part of this. And so I just want to give everybody an invitation. If you type member in the chat right now, I will say you will get a little message back from me so that you'll have a link to go to what you want to be able to sign up. So, right. Ginger, thank you so much for tonight. I'm so glad that we had a chance to discuss this really important topic, and that everybody can get ready now to hopefully come down or up or over to DC from wherever you are. For me, it's down, and be together in May.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's such a joy to just keep sharing what we're all doing together.
Yeah. And please share this. You know, this video, this is an important conversation that we want to get shared out. So if you're watching a replay, hit the share button, send it out to everyone you know. Like we said before, it's not just for expecting mom. This is all of us. This is for anyone who knows a woman in their life or cares about women. This is for everyone to be involved in. And like Ginger said earlier, just like the opioid epidemic, we didn't all know about that until it was driven by a few to share it to the rest. So hoping you guys will all share this. And again, the prize tonight, just want to review that for anybody who wants to enter. If you type prize in the chat right now, you'll get a little message about the prizes and you can go and check them out. But it is Earth Mama Organics, and we're going to give away a beautiful pregnancy care package for one of you guys, okay? So we're going to say goodnight, unless there's anything else that you want to share, Ginger.
No, thank you for sharing the website, and you can find us and most of your questions there.
Yep, and just so that I can say the website, it's marchformoms.org. Okay, so if anybody's just listening and they want to hear that, marchformoms.org, please go and click around on all the different tabs so you can see everything. All right, we're going to say goodnight. We'll be back tomorrow night. I have our breastfeeding and sleeping Q&A at 9 p.m. tomorrow, so you guys can all come with all your questions. And Ginger, I will see you next month.
Wonderful. Be great to see you, Sherry. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye.